Well, good morning, guys. Glad you're with me. I hope you're with me. Um, if not, well, get with me later. You know what I mean? Get on this Facebook and or YouTube and follow this teaching because I'm on a mandate. God's given me a mandate, and it is to grow the people up. So I know you might be thinking some of these things are, well, Pastor Ken, these things are a little deep, complicated. Well, I know they're different from what you're used to hearing, but that's okay because we should have known these things from the beginning. As Paul rebuked the Hebrews, the Hebrew church over there, and in the New Testament, he said, "Hey, you guys ought to be teachers now, and you're still going back to these. You're still sucking on milk." Well, some of you guys, some people, Christians, I'm not going to make any accusations to who, but some people, they've been saved 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they're still infants, still sucking on the milk of the word because, well, the enemy has worked it into the church to not preach any solid food. We're not going to grow by hearing social reform or the politically correctness stuff. We grow by the meat of the word. So, and these are very simple, actually, the basics. I guess for a long time, I kind of assumed many people understood it or knew it, but now the Lord's got me on a mandate because I'm telling you, he is waking up a giant, a sleeping giant. And I want to be a part of that move, and I don't want to miss my call. And I know I don't want you to miss your call either. And, because right now he needs the body of Christ to rise up together in unity and in strength. People who know who they are. I'm going to start in Romans 5:17, and then I'm going to move over to 2 Corinthians 5, and we'll read some scriptures over there. Now, I got to go back. After that, we're going to go back to Genesis, and because the Lord kind of tightened me up a little bit, if you want to call it that. That I kind of, because some people know me and I get a little excited and I kind of assume people know different things and I jump from one thing to another, and he's informed me that I skipped over too much. I got to go back. So I'm going to go back. As you know, we're on the subject of righteousness, and in that righteousness, the plan of redemption is being revealed to us. So we got to go back to it and find out what this plan is, what it entails, and what righteousness is. In Romans 5:17, it says, "For if one man's offense, death reigned," and that's what happened when Adam sinned. He fell, and death took charge. Death began to rule over us. Have you ever noticed there's plenty of death to go around? There's never been a shortage of death because it's reigning, it's ruling. Okay? Through death reigned through one, but much more, say much more, even greater than that. Those who receive the abundance of grace and the gift of righteousness will reign in life through one Christ Jesus Christ. One translation says, we will rule and reign as kings in life through one, Jesus Christ. So you can see here that it has been God's will and intent for us to rule and reign in life. That's right here, right now. That's not when we get to heaven. That's here. I mean, it'll go on after we're in heaven. We'll get into that's another subject, though. But you're talking about right now. And right now, too many Christians' life the way we've been living here has been ruling and reigning over us rather than us ruling and reigning over it. Death has been reigning still, even though it's been defeated. So we got to get back in here and find out. So this force of righteousness, this strength of what's right, is standing back in us and causing us to stand up and be who God has created us to be. Okay, let's go over to 2 Corinthians 5. We're going to find something very interesting here. There's so much revelation in these few scriptures here, so much. And of course, there is in all of God's word. Of course, the the gift of righteousness is what qualifies us to be blessed or empowered. We've already addressed the sin consciousness, which we will still be going on and bringing more of that to light. Okay, but here in verse 15, 15. We'll pick up in verse 15 because I don't want to get caught up into too much other stuff here. For he died for all, talking about Jesus. Jesus died for all. Everyone, every man, woman, child, everyone ever born on the earth, he died so that those who live should no longer live for themselves. Who do we live for? We're living for God. He's our God. That's what we confess when we made him Lord of our lives. We're living for him now. Okay? But for him who died for them and rose again. Okay, that has significance there, but here's the point I want to make. I want to get it. It's in verse 16. Therefore, from now on, we regard no one according to the flesh. Even though, now what we went into part of that, looking into the old man, who you used to be, what you used to do, what you used to be like, how you used to act. We don't look at that, okay? Because that's been done away with, okay? Because you've been crucified in Christ, so there is no past. And the problem with people making the transition from the old man to the new man is just what I'm teaching here, because they have not renewed their thinking to the new man. So that's part of what I'm doing now, is because we can only, and that's what most people, Christians that love God, I'm not saying they're not saved, they're going to heaven, but they're still identifying and relating to the old man, who they used to be, because that's the only one they know. And of course, you know, everyone that comes to Faith Life Ministry say, you know, they hear me say it, everyone, I speak it by faith, right? Every one of us read our chapter every day. Because you have to realize, see, God's word, there is no word short of power. Okay, God's word is full of power. It has all the ability of God in it to accomplish that which he sends it to do. So, in that, look at the next part of this. Even though he said, regard no one according to the flesh. How many people is that? No one. Nobody at all, right? Isn't that what that no one means? Nobody. Okay? And he goes a little bit further. Even though we have known Christ according to the flesh, yet now we know him thus no longer. Well, that's an interesting statement, which we'll get into more of that later, but what we've got to do is recognize here, I don't even identify with the Jesus that walked on the shores, along the shores of Galilee. He did come to represent God to man. Yes, he did. He did display God to man. But his primary purpose, his primary focus was to represent man to God. Now, what happens in the new birth, we actually come up to a higher place than where Jesus was when he came. And that's why he's making this statement. So to help us get an idea of what this new man is that we have been created to be and to identify with and to recognize, let's go back to find out what God's will for his man was. So that's where we're going to go back to Genesis. And if you remember, I made a few points yesterday. Hopefully you got your notebooks with you. See, God, even though man fell, there are a few things that never changed. I'm going to name a couple of them because I call Genesis here, these first few chapters, the law beginnings. These laws, some of these laws never changed. Like for instance, God's will for his man has never changed. It's never changed and never will, because he is a God that does not change. Now, excuse me, the ability that he gave man to choose has never changed. You can choose right now. Man was the only part of God's creation that had the ability to choose its own words. If you remember, Satan tried to choose his own words and it got him kicked out of heaven. He put his words up against God's, and then that was it, man. It was over. So with those two things in mind, also the law of beginnings, which would be seed. Remember, as I said yesterday, seed is everything. Seed is the process starters. They start the process. And the ability to speak words has been given to man in the earth. Okay? God speaks to us. Do you hear words, audible words? No, you hear him speaking on the inside, but then man has the ability to speak them out. In other words, I have the ability to choose to speak God's words or God's thoughts, and he's watching over them to establish them, right? So we have been given that right, and that has not changed. I can also choose to speak the thoughts of the enemy, and then he will establish his words. See, you follow what I'm saying? So seed time and harvest has always been and always will be. God, the difference between, let's say, light and dark, or God and the enemy, the kingdom of darkness, God's words are life. They are spirit and they are life. Now, the one thing that's interesting about God's word, and it's the same with your word, and the same with the enemy's words, God has put himself into his words, so that when he speaks his word, his character, his power, his ability, everything that he is in that word. Just like, because a seed is everything the Father has. You follow me with that? The seed of a plant carries the same nature as the plant it came from. The seed of a tomato will be the same exact replica of the tomato it came from. Do you follow me? And see, that's what that is. So God, that's why I say seed is everything. Of course, the enemy, when you hear his words, we have the ability. That's why God tells us in the New Testament, don't give him any place. That's this. We're going to find out where fear comes from, how fear gets established, how the enemy gets the curse. Even still, he's after the seed. He's out to take control of God's creation, all of it. Okay, so here God is in the beginning, releasing his will, releasing his words, and he began to create. Okay, we're at chapter 1, verse 2. All right, well, starting 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and the void and darkness on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering. Did you notice the Spirit of God's moving? That's the power, the right arm of God, and he's not doing anything but hanging out. Because he's waiting on words. Then God said. Once he said, things begin to happen. Okay? And now what's interesting is he's created man. We go just for the sake of time. God said, God said, God said, God said, God said, and everything was. It created. He spoke. He released his words, or you could say he planted seed. He sowed seed. And then he formed man. If you notice, he formed man out of the dust of the earth. But see, this is only the body. Okay? This is only the form of man. But man did not become until he spoke. He said, man, the Hebrew text says, he didn't say, let man be. He actually says, man be in our image. Well, and then man, that body took on life. Well, it was the Spirit of God. And seed is the product and the produce of who and what you are and what you do. Your words. That's why the Bible says over there in Matthew 12, either make the tree good or the tree bad, talking about us. You know, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of your heart, talking about your spirit, you speak. You're releasing everything you are. That's why he said your tongue should not be the rudder that speaks good and bad. You should only speak good. You are the prophet of your own life. So that's why we got to take, because That's why Satan's looking to contaminate your spirit by you receiving and then speaking words gives him dominion over you. When you speak his words. Does that make sense to you? Because we're created in his image and his likeness. Image means an exact duplicate. So now we're here. God created man. If you notice here, after it was all done, and I think it's in chapter 2, he made the man, he formed everything, and he planted the garden. Let's look at why did God create man? You know, he created the earth. He created a wonderful place. I mean, think about the Garden of Eden. He's created a home for his man. He loves this man. It's the highest form of creation that God has made that we know of, right? And it's right next to him, because without man, this whole creation is worthless. Think about it. It's absolutely worth nothing. There's resources here, the gold and the silver, everything in here he created for his man. Why? And he created his man for fellowship. That's his family, right? That's his seed. A man has children, that's his seed. Why? He wants to build a family. So God created man for fellowship. The interesting thing about fellowship is you cannot you cannot fellowship with somebody who's not on your level. In other words, all right, here's a man that's gone out up into the mountains. He's been up there for X amount of time or whatever. And finally, man, he's wanting some fellowship. He comes down out of the mountain because he can't fellowship with his dog. I mean, you can hang out with him and your fellowship is very limited. It only goes so far. They can't talk back. They can't communicate back to you on your level. See, so he's coming down. He's wanting a fellowship. He wants somebody on his own level, someone that can, and that's what he created man. Adam was absolutely brilliant. I mean, he knew God formed the animals. He brought them to him, and Adam named them. He knew all the character, the nature of those things, how their attributes and everything. And he's absolutely brilliant. Well, God is in the process of restoring everything that was lost. That's what redemption is. He's given us the mind of Christ, right? See, in order for us to partake of the life of God, we have to be created in his image. And so that's what the plan of redemption is doing, is bringing us back. Now, if you notice, God gave Adam dominion in the earth. Psalms calls man God, not big G, little g, because he's the big G, we're the little g. We're the gods. And we read over there in Romans 5:17, we are the ones that's supposed to rule and reign and govern this earth. But you can see there's a lot going on in this earth that is not God. Very much ungodly things happening because Satan is still trying to control. And because the body of Christ has not known who they are, what they're called to do, and come together in unity, well, Satan's still governed. He's still ruling and reigning. But see, it's been given to us. And we can start with our own life. People say, well, God's in control. I can tell you, that nothing more, that aggravates me so much. That is a satanic seed sown in the body of Christ, because God will allow what you allow. The dominion's been given to us. That is a deception. That is a satanic seed that's been planted in the body of Christ. That is absolutely a lie and deception, because if he keeps you thinking God is in control, you're not going to do anything. But you can see there, the dominion has been given to man. That's verse 26 of chapter 1. Let him have dominion. That means let him govern, let him rule. In fact, this morning I was just curious. It came up in me. I looked up the word righteousness in the Hebrew, and it actually means lawbreaker. I mean lawmaker, not lawbreaker, forgive me. Lawmaker, that means when you speak, right? You have the authority to speak. That's been given to man. You speak those words and create. Now we can find Adam doing just that, because if you notice here in chapter 2, Adam is now acting and operating just like God. In verse 7, God formed the man out. Okay, wait a minute, wrong one. No, wrong one. Verse 19, I apologize. Verse 19 of chapter 2 of Genesis. Okay? Out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field and bird of the air. Now see, he's forming them. He didn't create them. He's just forming them, just like he did the man. He formed him out of the dust of the earth. Brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. Why did he bring them to Adam? Because Adam now has the authority in the earth. God does not have the right to do it. He gave it to Adam. He gave it to his man. Man has to now name it and call it. So now Adam, when he speaks what they are, he calls that name. He just spoke the very nature and the very character of what that animal is. Do you see that? Adam gave names to all the cattle, the birds of the air, every beast. So you can see the level of intelligence that's going on here. See, Adam's now creating with his words. That's why I said we have the ability to choose words and create. That's what God's given us. That has a lot to do with righteousness. Glory to God. And it's just like, well, look at here, just a real simple example. God took woman from the man, or took the bone, a piece of rib, or actually the word is cell, took a cell out of man, made the woman. Her name right here is not Eve. The word woman here, the name of that woman is called Isha. Right? So then that Adam begins to say what she is. She's now bone of my flesh, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman. Right there, Isha. That means a man with a womb, a woman, right? And then he goes on to state some other things to happen. He didn't name her Eve until after the fall, because now she's a different woman than she was there. Does that make sense? Am I going too quick? So, all right, so now I'm trying to create an image inside of you, an image of dominion, an image of rulership, an image of a king in the earth. We're supposed to rule and reign. We are the gods of this earth. Don't get mad at me. Just read your Bible. This is what God has said, okay? This is the reason we have not made the transition from the old man to the new man, because we're still looking and identifying with the old man. That's why I'm back here, to get inside of you what you are. Who you are, whose you are, what God has created, what his intentions are to be in you. We are God's children. Now here we find out that Satan stole all of this dominion, and he did it legally because he persuaded Adam and Eve to give it to him. In in chapter 3, Satan begins to use a serpent. We don't know what that serpent was. Some people call it a snake. All right. And he's speaking through this serpent to them. Okay. And he's having this conversation with, now here we find right here, he's having this conversation with Adam and Eve. God's words are life. God's words have faith. Satan's words are death, because death we identified yesterday as separation from life. Okay? Adam what was I going to say? Okay, yeah, separated from life. And his words are fear. They are fear-filled. You got it? God's words are life, and they are full of faith. Satan's words are death. They're cursed, and they are full of fear. So here, just them having that conversation. That's why the Bible tells us to take every thought captive. All right, so now they're communicating, right? Now, I can tell you right now, fear is being planted because they're heeding the words and the thoughts of the enemy. You say, well, how's that? Well, Have you ever, suppose you're having a conversation with somebody, all right, you know it's something you shouldn't be doing, or you're talking about somebody you shouldn't be talking about, and the person of authority or the person that you're talking about all of a sudden shows up, and you turn around and they're there. What happens? It startles you, right? That'd be another word for scared. See, so you can see fear is already being planted in them. Satan's demonic words of death and fear are being planted in there. So the reason I'm saying that is because we're attacking fear. When you sit down and you listen to all the bad news of this world and everything that's going on, what is happening on the inside of you? You cannot give place to the devil. God's told us, do not fear, do not. That is an absolute command. That's not a pep talk. And then in Ephesians 4, he tells us, give the devil no place. How do you give him no place? You don't consider his thoughts. He's going to tell you, you ain't getting your healing this time. Well, that liar, God's already given it to me. And I've already believed I received it. Healing's coming to me. Healing's happening in me now. I have it now. Do you see what I'm saying? So you take those thoughts captive, and you take them captive by speaking, as we brought out in my last teaching, not by taking thought. You do not think over top of the enemy. You speak over top of the enemy. Because seed is everything. The enemy's planting seed in them, right? Because he's out to take over, because he knows seed has the ability to create everything in that seed. And he's out to take control of all of God's creation and, of course, destroy it. And the power is in the seed. Seed's everything. So, and God's words, your words, his words are seed. So he's planting seed, okay? He knows the seed principle. Okay, got it? So, and that's the reason God had to kick Adam and Eve after the fall out of the garden, because of his love for them. The tree of life is still in there, because he knows if he eats from the tree of life, just like he ate from the tree of good and evil, then he's going to live forever in that cursed state. He won't have the opportunity to be redeemed. So God had to put him out so he could redeem his man. So he put him out, so they partook of it. And the Bible says their eyes were opened and they knew they were naked. What just left? The glory left. That robe of rightness, the robe of righteousness had just come off. They're now unrighteous. They are no longer right with God. They have become unrighteous. They're naked. They saw that they're naked. They got no covering. And then they went and what? They heard the sound of God coming and they hid. Why did they hide? Fear is now manifesting. Death happened in his spirit. It was manifest almost 1,000 years later in his body, because God did not teach man how to die. It took the enemy that long to teach him how to die. And he taught him how to die by getting him to speak words of hurt, pain, sickness. All that is the result of words. Satan has two things still now today. He's been stripped, but that is he has two things. He's the accuser of the brethren, and he's a deceiver. And he'll constantly accuse you of your past. He'll constantly accuse you of who you used to be. But see, that's deception, because you're not who you used to be. He's a liar. He's a liar. Jesus said he's a liar and the father of lies, and he's been a liar from the beginning. And that's how he's deceiving the body of Christ. Now, God's in control. He's not in control. God allows what you allow. If you notice, Adam allowed it. Adam allowed him in there. God did not stop him. Why did God allow this to happen? God said, no. What are you going to do something about it? We're looking to God to do something about it. He's telling us to do something about it. That is the meaning of dominion and authority and rulership. God's making man right. Those things, oh, glory to God. I'm getting excited. Okay, let me go back. Okay. Now, God laid out the plan of redemption right here, and he knows, and he said here in verse 15 of Genesis 3, I got to slow down. I want to take my time here. And he told Satan, between you and the woman, he's going to put enmity between you and the woman and between your seed and her seed. See, Satan already knows seed, in the seed lies the power and the ability for him to destroy. Everything is in the seed. He's still doing the same thing today. He's after your words. He's after your seed to destroy. Okay, but he doesn't know what God pulled a fast one on him. He didn't know because it's been hid, because the Bible says if he had known, he would never crucify Jesus. If you notice, Jesus was born of a woman, but with God's seed. Satan's thinking was limited. He thought it had to come out of the man. So he's still working to pollute and destroy that man. You follow me? Uh-oh, I'm out of time. Let me go just a little bit. Let me go just a little bit further, because Satan knows the power's in the seed. Okay? Now, God, as you know, God created one race of man in his image and likeness. Satan has now planted his seed in that man, and now another race of man, or another species of being, was created. But there's still enough, because God made covenant. Now, God cannot make another man, because the earth don't belong to him. He can't take that dirt and make another man, because the dirt don't belong to him. Satan gave everything, Adam gave everything over to Satan, now become the God of this world. Whether he knew it or not, whether you realize it or not, until you make Jesus the Lord of your life, Satan is still your God. He's still your Lord. And he's still trying to work his curse in you and over you. So God makes a covenant with Adam and Eve. That's where the animal clothing come from. From the sacrifice of the animals. He's working now to redeem his man. And the only right he has in the earth, right, is through covenant. That's the only way he has a right to protect his man, is through covenant. And then he begins to give him covenant names, all right, through his man. To his man, Jehovah Shammah, the Lord is present. Jehovah Shalom, the Lord is our peace. Jehovah Raha, the Lord is our shepherd. See, he's working to keep a right to redeem his man in the earth, okay? So he's making covenant. He said, I'm Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide. I'm your Jehovah Nisi, I'm the Lord your victory. I'm Jehovah Tishkanu, the Lord your righteousness. I am Jehovah Rapha, the Lord your healer. So that's the only way God has an avenue back into the earth to save his man. All right. So then you notice Adam and Eve, this is chapter 4 now. Adam and Eve bore Cain. Now, as Satan knows, the seed, the firstborn, belongs to God. Right? The firstborn belongs to God. Well, now he's assuming that first position, that God, so he's claiming Adam. He's staking a claim on, Cain. Cain is the firstborn. He's saying, that's mine. So he's working through Cain to kill Abel. Why? Because he's got to stop and destroy God's man. He's out to take control. So what's he do? Because Cain and Cain and Abel got this from Adam, the tithe, right? The first form, if you notice, Cain brings an offering before the Lord in the process of time. Oh, no, wait a minute. I'm in verse 4. Abel brought the firstborn, see, that belongs to God, of his flock, and the fat, that means the 10%. See, because what happens is, if the first fruit's holy, then all of it's holy. The whole lump is holy, it says over there in the New Testament. And if we read over in Malachi, the tithe takes the curse off of your seed. See, you follow me? So Satan has realized this, because Abel now has seed that's been enabled to prosper. So he's got to kill Abel. So that's what he does. He has Cain kill Abel because of his offering. He's got to destroy the ground, the ability of God to work the blessing or life into the earth. We're going to pick up a little later. I'm going too long. I could go for another 2 hours. But go back over. I know I tell everybody to start in the New Testament reading. But I would encourage you, go back over these first 6 chapters of Genesis. Read them and meditate them. So you can let this word create in you. Let this God's seed begin to create in you who you are, what you are, your abilities, your dominion, your reign of authority. Okay, because this is what's right. This is what is right. This is okay. All right. And God love you. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow, probably about the same time. I don't know if the Lord will have me pick up on the same message or not, but we'll go on because I'm out to build you up. Amen. God bless you and I love you. Amen.